Never trust a trill, Quark.
Why not?
They're two-faced.
Does that go for all trills or just for the ones with the worm?
Any worm named Dax.
Did she break your heart, son?
What?
Mine, too. And Bashir is in here every other day crying into his synthale over her. The promenade is littered with the body.
It wasn't my heart she broke. It was me. My career. My life.
Wait a minute. Is this about all that initiate stuff?
She told me I wasn't preparing myself to join.
With the worm? So that's her opinion. What's that worth anyhow?
A bad recommendation from your field docent, and you can forget it.
Listen, son. When I was a young man, no older than you, I had an apprentice position with the district subnagus. I licked his boots like you couldn't believe. He loved me. I was his golden boy. I was on the high road to the top of the Ferengi business world. And then it all fell apart.
How?
Rule of acquisition 112. Never have sex with the boss's sister. I was fired, broke. It was quite a setback to my ambitions.
How did you recover?
Never did. Look at me, tending bar out here in Wormhole Junction while the big boys fly by me at warp speed. You only get one shot at the Latinum stairway. If you miss it, you miss it. Welcome to the club, son.
Welcome, everybody, to Deep Space Pride, a gay Star Trek podcast. My name is Mike. I am one of your hosts. And with me in this hot and humid New York City summer, not in person, though, is Johnson, my co-host.
Hey, Mike. How's it going?
Are you melting?
No, the AC has been blasting all day.
Lucky you.
Despite Con Ed being like, please try to conserve energy. I'm like, no, absolutely not. I will use more energy. When I got the Amber Alert, I was like, no, I'm actually going to decrease the temperature in the room and increase the fan speed because now I feel even more hot. I don't know. How did you respond to the Amber Alert going off on your phone?
Is it an Amber or whatever?
I don't know if it's Amber Alert. I always associate with the Amber Alert because it's like, I'm like, what's happening? Did someone get kidnapped?
Well, for me, it sounded like a red alert. I was doing something and it scared me out of my mind. I was like, where is this alarm coming from? What's going on? But it sounded like
it was your phone.
It was. I didn't know it was my phone. No, I had no idea. It just came out of the blue. Maybe I was watching a video or something on my computer or something. I don't know. But yeah, it scared the crap out of me. I was like, what? And then I saw it. But, I've kept a pretty minimal usage because I leave all the lights off. And
oh, look at you.
But I mean, the AC. So I'm in the back office where there is not an AC. There's a fan, fortunately. But the bedroom is next to us, next to the office. And so I've got the AC in the bedroom and the fan on high, hopefully moving some of that.
Are you not able to install AC in the office /
We have a portable.
Room? We have a room one day.
Yeah, we have a portable one, but it's down in the basement and I haven't set it up. Yeah, so.
Okay.
No, it's fine. Yeah, so it is what it is.
Yeah.
But today is the last day. It's supposed to rain tomorrow, and be cooler, I believe. So that's good. But yeah, hopefully everyone is safe and cool.
Not in the Northwest, though. The Pacific Northwest is also on fire.
Yeah.
And they don't have AC units up there.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. Well, because it's never this hot. So that I work with a few people that are like in the Seattle area, and they're like, you don't understand. No one has an AC unit. Like they've had to go out and buy an AC unit.
Oh my gosh!
It never gets that hot. It's always very temperate. So they're like, yeah, it's 100 degrees today, and we have one AC unit for a whole house. So
Wow, that's a lot.
it's suboptimal.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well,
not the
I
best.
think Mother Nature is telling us something, perhaps.
We should terraform Mars and move there and start over.
And start over.
Yeah.
Although if we leave
I'm ready to start
here,
over.
I mean, if we leave here, hopefully
It's like,
this
try again, please.
Earth would regenerate. So, I mean,
Maybe in like 2 centuries, we can come back.
it's crazy how drastically the weather has changed. Because a year ago, when we were all in lockdown, there was no traffic. It was quiet. It was cooler, and suddenly, now that we've opened back up, it seems like we're having the worst
It's
weather.
pretty bad.
Yeah.
And then Texas, I mean, we don't live in Texas, but like even their winter was really bad. And that whole electric grid issue.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's suboptimal.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, try again somewhere else.
Try start from scratch.
Yeah.
We would have to, I don't think we have terraforming technology quite yet.
Not yet. We're not there yet. Almost.
So anyway, so we hope that you, our dear listeners, are staying cool wherever you are. And yeah, so this is June 30th, right? So this is the
That's correct.
last day of Pride Month. And
It's the last day of Pride Month. You go on vacation in 2 weeks.
2 weeks, yes. Cannot wait.
And you're out of here.
I am peace out. See you later. Do not text or call or email because I will respond to nothing.
Really?
Yeah.
You won't respond to texts?
Yeah, I will. Yeah.
I'm like, come on.
But I won't. But I'm not a lot. Not a lot.
I understand.
I'm not gonna be on my phone except to take pictures. But for the most part, yeah, it's just going to be like a technology break for the most part. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So yeah, 2 more weeks. But today is the last day of Pride Month, and so I do have one last Pride prompt for us.
One last one. Thank goodness. These have been so difficult. It requires so much thinking.
Yes, we are humans. We can think. It's
so much
good.
work.
It's a good challenge, I think. I like the challenge. So
whenever we do these, though, I'm like on the verge of taking a nap because it's always right after dinner. I have food coma, so I'm like, oh, the brain power is difficult to muster at this moment. But,
well, and granted, I did come up with this afternoon, not too long ago. So
yes, I did not have much time to prepare.
But also, you would have reacted the same this morning that if I had told you this morning or even yesterday, you'd be like, I don't have time for
oh
this.
my gosh, so much thinking.
Yeah. So the same response. It doesn't really matter when I give you the question. But here is the final Pride prompt for...
What is a Pride prompt? Tell us a Pride prompt.
I understand, Mr. Spock. The glory of creation is in its infinite diversity.
And the ways our differences combine to create meaning and beauty.
Tell you what it is, or
tell our listeners what it is.
So
and remind me what it is.
Oh, all right. So a Pride prompt is just something.
Oh no, I wasn't asking for a general Pride prompt overview. I was asking you to tell us what the Pride prompt was.
Oh, okay. I think
by now people know what the Pride prompt is.
I hope so. Yes.
If they don't, then they should stop listening and go back in time and listen to our other episodes for June.
There we go. Yes. So anyway, our final Pride prompt for June is this: what situation, character, or theme do you think should be in the next representation of the LGBTQ plus community in Star Trek?
Do you have an answer to this?
I have some ideas, but I'm always the one that starts, so I think.
Okay, I can go.
Oh, great! Good.
I can go.
Oh, you did think about the answer.
No, well, I cheated because we also. So for our listeners that don't know, Mike and I also participated in an Infinite Trek panel this last weekend.
Right.
It was a 3-hour panel. I do not suggest anyone ever participate in a 3-hour panel. It was terrible. I had to.
For the length, it wasn't a terrible panel. It was just.
It was no. The panel's not bad, and for Aaron and Infinite Trek, if you're listening, you already have this feedback. So because Mike and I are all about feedback, well, I'm more about here are my notes. Mike's all about here's my encouragement. Meanwhile, I'm like, here's my criticism. So Mike and I kind of balance each other out this way. But for any of our listeners that are thinking about starting a podcast or a live stream, and you're thinking about doing a panel, and you're like, how long should this panel be? I do not suggest 3 hours, because after 3 hours, Mike and I were on the verge of death. I was on the verge of death.
You were definitely on the verge of death. Yes.
I was slacking Mike on the side, being like, I really gotta pee. It's been 2 hours and there's no break in sight. And at one point I was like, I just gotta go. I have to leave. And I turned my microphone and video off, and then everyone's like, Johnson, where did you go? I was like, okay, that's the exact opposite of what I wanted. I wanted to be as least disruptive as it could have been. I even chatted with everyone, and there was a chat box, and I was like, going to the bathroom, turning my video off. No one saw it, I guess, because everyone was like, where did Johnson go? Oh no, we hope Johnson's still here. I'm like, bitches, I'm still here. I just need to pee for 5 minutes. No, not even 5 minutes. 2 minutes.
2 minutes. Yeah.
So,
yeah, 3 hours. 3 hours is a long. 2 hours is
2 hours max.
Is a good amount of time.
If it really needs to be 3 hours, please build in an intermission.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
Yep, absolutely. No, that's I thought that was good feedback, and
yes,
but it was fun.
Honest, polite. I was polite.
Oh yeah, of course, yes,
always appropriate. I'm always appropriate. Yes. Our listeners cannot see your face, so whatever.
I know, which is why I didn't say anything. I just gave you the face.
Anyway,
so
anyway, that was the long story. But as part of this panel, we were talking about LGBTQ representation in Star Trek, and we talked about its ups and downs. And one of the things that we talked about specifically was Discovery and non-binary / transgender representation in Discovery. So one of my notes, so I'm going to recycle my thought there, because I think that if Star Trek really wants to push the envelope, I think that Star Trek needs to become more imaginative in terms of how it thinks about gender identity, sexuality, especially considering where they are at that point in history. Right. And I don't know what things are going to be like in 1,000 years. I think that's very hard to fathom. Obviously, it's just so far removed from our present reality that I think it's a little bit difficult to really even imagine what we're going to be talking, like what we're going to even be talking about at that time. But I think that,
or if we're even alive, I mean,
if we're even alive, but in Star Trek, we're all still alive. Like the humanity has gone to a better place, and we're all still around, and we're doing better things. So I'm kind of like, look, if we're actually like still around, and if we're still talking about gender and sexuality in 1,000 years, it should look really different. It shouldn't be, and this is where I was challenged by the Adira quote unquote coming out scene in season 3 of Discovery. And I mentioned this on this podcast before, and Mike, I know you like it. I didn't like it because it just felt so pedestrian, as in this is like literally a conversation that's happening in 2021. Like, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if Star Trek really want to be progressive and really like blow people's minds, then it should be approaching gender in a completely new way that we haven't even talked about. Like, that's really futuristic. Like, maybe our pronouns are completely different. Maybe people don't even use pronouns. Maybe being non-binary is just very day-to-day, run-of-the-mill. It's like, all right, whatever, you know?
Yeah.
It doesn't even need to be that big a deal. So I think that in terms of where Star Trek can be pushing the envelope when it comes to LGBTQ representation or the topic or like whatever, I think that that's, if they wanted to, if they wanted to kind of really be quote unquote progressive, as the original series was really progressive, then they should be showing us something that we can't even fathom right now. And I think that if we were to look at TOS, having everyone from so many different from so many races and backgrounds working together, honestly, it was probably very difficult for people to fathom being reality during that during that point in history, to be honest.
Yeah,
And
Cold War, everything. Yeah.
yeah, and if Star Trek really wants to go back to being like that kind of show, because I think that Star Trek has become more just, it's entertaining. It's become more just, it has become more mainstream entertainment. But I think that if they really want to kind of create conversation as it used to, then they need to be doing things that no one else is doing. So that is my take and input.
There we go. Yeah, I think that's an interesting take on it, and we disagree about the Discovery and Adira's kind of pronoun piece, but yeah, I understand where you're coming from. For me, the answer to this question sort of, well, it's multiple. It's got a lot. I mean, I think that Discovery has certainly explored LGBTQ plus representation, and hopefully it will continue to do so in season 4 with the actual with Gray's kind of storyline and making him or them be seen. And so I think that that's going to be a great storyline. I hope that they really do that well. For me, I thinking about the other shows, I think when it comes to Picard, I think seeing the relationship between Seven and Raffi, and how a lesbian relationship might look, is going to be interesting. I'm pretty sure I heard this on the pod directive, but I'm almost positive that Mariner is going to be bisexual, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I believe that's correct. With her friend from
the captain.
Is that the episode?
Yes.
Where it was like her friend that was a captain or something?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. So let me just take a sidetrack really quickly.
Okay.
On this whole bisexuality piece, because I actually think that it is an important discussion to have, and my views and thoughts on this have changed over the years. So before I came out, I was in the closet and I was, I don't know, playing a straight man, right? And then I came out as bisexual. And when I finally identified as gay and realized that I'm not bisexual, I'm actually gay,
right?
I began to judge other people who are kind of in that bisexual. This was a long time ago. This is like almost This is almost 20 years ago, but the idea that I always said that bisexuality was the layover to being gay, or sort of like the midway stop or the interim stop between becoming straight, going from straight to gay. And obviously my thoughts and my feelings on that have greatly expanded as sexuality has grown, and as my own education and personal experience has expanded. So I think that having Mariner be bisexual and really exploring that as a reality and as something that is part of the rainbow of sexuality, if you will. I think that that's going to be a very important storyline that I hope they do something with more than, I hope it's one of those instances where there isn't humor in Lower Decks, that it's sort of taken seriously. And I think that those who identify as bisexual would really appreciate that. And I think that would be a great education for everyone else on the idea of bisexuality. I'd also really love to see something along the lines of a discussion or a character that's pansexual. But I think that, taking it little by little, I think seeing a lesbian relationship in Picard, seeing Mariner be bisexual, continuing Adira and Gray's storyline in Discovery, I think that that's a gamut of experiences and different discussions around LGBTQ plus representation in Star Trek, and I do agree with you. I think that the original series was very provocative and led the conversation, and I think that there's definitely opportunity in Star Trek now to make that happen. But I don't know how to make that happen, or why. I don't know that creating another character is the right thing. I think, encountering a planet or a situation that would challenge some ideals that we are trying to change would be great. And maybe something in Strange New Worlds would encounter that. Hopefully more than just a one-parter, a one episode storyline, something that might, again, they said that there would be character development that would carry through, unlike in previous 90s Star Trek and everything. So, I think there's a lot of great opportunity for more representation, more awareness around these issues. I think it's really important to continue. And, one of the things that I continue to get really frustrated with is this whole idea that is pushed out there, that why do we need Pride Month? Why do the gay, why don't we have Straight Month? All these stupid kind of comebacks as to why we have Pride Month. And I think for a variety of reasons, including the lifespan of LGBTQ plus young people, many of whom are sadly committing suicide, attacks on trans people, attacks and murders of trans by POC people are on the rise. So I think I think Pride Month is definitely needed, and I think we need to continue to have this discussion in Star Trek. And Star Trek has always been a vehicle for teaching and learning and helping grow the mindset of human beings. So I hope that will continue to happen. And I do agree. I think they need to do this in a much more innovative and thought-provoking approach. And maybe that'll come with things like Strange New Worlds, which will be very episodic. So maybe the storylines of these ongoing arcs and things aren't really the place to tell it. Maybe it is. But Strange New Worlds, to me, would seem to be a great place to put that in. And also, I would say Prodigy would be too. We do have some characters whose gender identities and sexualities are unknown,
like the Medusan,
who's
non-corporeal.
But also, one of the main characters, I can't think of her name or their name off the top of my head, but
another one. There's another
the one that is unnamed right now. The species that is unnamed, not the character.
Oh, okay. I don't recall.
I don't either. But so I think, there's a good opportunity to start that conversation younger and in a way that I think would be appropriate for younger kids. As someone who's looking to have kids in the future, I think that introducing Star Trek through Prodigy and through that experience would be great.
Are you going to force your kids to watch Star Trek?
No, force isn't the right word.
Watch this now.
No,
sit down and get up in 5 hours.
Not force, but I think, obviously doing a Star Trek podcast on a weekly basis and going to conventions and things like that, our kids are gonna be a part of that and see that. So, and also, like I said on the Infinite Trek podcast, like when I was watching TOS, there were a lot of values that were instilled in me through Star Trek that I still adhere to today, and that are foundational to who I am. So
yes, all the messaging.
Yeah. So
positive messaging.
Yeah, exactly. So I think there's a great opportunity, and I hope that, and I think they will. I just hope that, like you said, I hope they take it in a more innovative and progressive, even more progressive way.
Yeah.
To take a look at it. I think that there's some great opportunities there, and if they would like to bring us both on to the existent, I don't even know what I'm trying to say here, external writing staff or
like consultants, we can give them feedback. I would have notes.
Yes, we would have notes. So maybe
I would have notes all the time.
You could be the Aaron McDonald of the
who's Aaron McDonald?
We talked about her.
Oh, the science
consultant.
Okay, I thought you said Aaron, not Aaron. So I was like, who's Aaron? And I didn't know her last name. So
Aaron and Aaron.
like I thought you said Aaron as an AARON.
Ah, okay.
And I was like, who's Aaron?
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
Yes, now I know.
We could
so we
come
could
on
be the
LGBT
culture slash
yeah, kind of. I don't know.
gay consultants. I don't know.
I'm sure there's more experienced and more scientifically and educationally astute people who could
Maybe
comment on that.
they're just not.
But anyway,
I mean, they probably have those people consulting. They're just not listening.
maybe. Yeah.
They're just like, we're gonna do whatever fuck we want. Like make the fucking Discovery the fucking TARDIS. That's what they're doing.
Yes, let's. All right.
Let's
not get me started on that. Anyway, all right.
I already started. So
you did start. Oh boy. All right. So great. I thought that was a great final Pride prompt for the month of June.
Oh, thank God we have no more.
For now, we may bring it
now.
back from time to time and have a new Pride prompt. But because Pride should be ongoing, just because we celebrate it for 1 month does not mean that we shouldn't celebrate it year round.
But the corporations will only do the 1 month.
Yes, all of the logos tomorrow will be turned back to normal.
Yes.
The rainbow flags go away. It's an amazing phenomenon for anyone who's in the LGBTQ plus community. You know this. You walk down the street one day, there are rainbow flags everywhere. The next day, they're all gone, and you're like, what the fuck happened?
It's true.
It is absolutely true. And I actually, quick side story, when Dennis and I went to one of our favorite restaurants, Empanada Mama's, here in Hell's Kitchen, it was a couple of weeks ago, middle of Pride Month, and they had Pride flags everywhere. And I'm like, in my head, I didn't say this out loud because we were sitting at the bar, but I was like, why do they, why do companies think it's all right just to bring out the Pride flags for this month and then they instantly go away? I was like, what the fuck are they thinking? And I was also thinking, what the fuck are restaurants in Hell's Kitchen, New York City, thinking when they, these things come and they go, just like any other corporation? It's just.
But usually there are a number of not a lot, not every restaurant.
Yeah,
usually,
yeah,
at least in Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah, obviously, like the bars keep them up and whatnot. That's pretty standard. But I think these restaurants, they put them up just to attract customers during Pride Month. And then July 1st comes around and suddenly the Pride flags are replaced with American flags. And here we go. So anyway, just my little rant there. But if our listeners have any ideas on this week's Pride prompt, which I will repeat one more time for everyone, what situation, character, or theme do you think should be next in representation of the LGBTQ plus community in Star Trek? If you have answers to that, Johnson, where can they go?
They can find us on the internet, on social media, on Twitter, Instagram at DSpacePride, or you can email us at dspacepride@gmail.com, and we may or may not get back to you.
There we go.
There we go.
All right.
Cool.
Let's move on to our next segment, which is the underappreciated episodes. And we are in season 2 of Deep Space Nine.
I'm worried about you, Arjun.
Worried?
I'm worried you're not preparing yourself for being joined.
That's it? A day and a half and you've made up your mind.
I didn't say that. Look, you've gotten this far by anticipating every demand of the program and performing above everyone's expectations. Am I right?
I'd like to think that's true.
And I'm telling you, from this point on, that's not going to be good enough.
Just to speak up for myself, I'm feeling a little betrayed here. I mean, after your impassioned I am Jadzia fellow initiate speech in the run-up.
I understand why you feel that way. But this isn't about me. This is about the standards for Trill hosts. The opportunity is too rare and too important to waste on the wrong candidate.
And in your mind, I'm a wrong candidate.
I don't know that yet. But I felt it only fair to let you know I am worried about you.
I see. I should have known this. I should have realized this. Your DAX. Standards for Trill hosts? That is really incredible coming from you. I have never seen any host in my life who is so far below those standards as you are, ma'am. No wonder Curzon Dax tried to terminate your training.
And Johnson, do you have the so you picked this week's selection?
I don't have anything up. Is that what you're going to ask me? You're going to ask me the
course you
episode
don't.
summary that I do
Of
not have
course you do
at
not.
present?
Okay, all right, settle down.
I can pull it up on Memory
think you're-
Alpha
I
if you
think
give me
you're
like 30 more
still-
seconds.
I think you're still upset about the TARDIS interior of
I can't.
of Discovery, but so let's talk about season 2, Deep Space Nine, and it was episode
17.
17. Look at that.
All right. So the synopsis from Memory Alpha is, while hosting her first Trill initiate, Dax discovers a tiny, expanding proto-universe that threatens to destroy the Bajoran system.
Well, there we go.
There we go.
So, I think I just want to say right off the bat, that piece of the episode, it's hard to know what is the A plot here and what is the B plot, because the B plot of this story, this whole universe thing, is more informing of the title of this episode than the whole idea that Dax is playing God to Arjun's future, which I did not get at all.
I didn't make that association in terms of the title being referring to the Arjun plot.
But Arjun is essentially the A plot. For those of you who don't know or may not have heard of the A plot, B plot, and even in some stories, there's even a C plot. But it was
our listeners have not heard of this. But please elaborate.
People newer to Star Trek may not be aware of this.
I suppose. Continue.
During the Rick Berman era of Star Trek, there was always an A plot, which was their main plot, where the characters would mostly interact about that piece of the story, and then there would always be like this other story going on, which became known as the B plot, and it became very standardized throughout actually all 4 series that were recorded in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. It was a very standard thing. I mean, it was all, probably the invention of Rick Berman to some extent. But since he was the executive producer over most of those seasons from 1987 to 2004 or 5. So that's what I'm talking about when we talk about the A plot versus the B plot. A plot is the main plot. B plot is the kind of the smaller, more contained plot of the story. And in this episode, it's sort of flip-flopped because the title always used to refer to the A plot.
You're right. You're right.
And so playing God here for this title of this episode really, I actually really don't like it. I get it when it comes to the idea of this proto-universe, but I have a real problem that it's, the proto-universe is not actually the A plot of this story. So although it becomes towards the end, but it's sort of weaved throughout, I guess, but you really don't get that part of the plot until about a third of the way into the episode. So that's my initial thought on playing God. But what are some other thoughts you had about this episode?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think that narratively speaking, it's a little messy, like in terms of, because sometimes when you have the A plot, B plot thing, sometimes it plays, the ones that are better are the ones where it's like it plays off each other, or one is a metaphor for the other, or there's or sometimes it really comes together. I mean, it kind of comes together at the end. Like this guy Arjun, this Trill initiate, he helps out and he does stuff. But I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say like, oh, his journey was enriched by this, like his experience with the proto universe or something. You know, like he experiences it with Jadzia, but it's not like he learned a lesson from that, you know, or something along those lines, where it kind of weaves together in a way that works really well. So I did think that it was kind of messy, and the fact that you're kind of jumping from, and some of the older TNG episodes where you have this, you know, I would say they're less successful when you have like two plots that are very disparate, and they just like, there's sometimes it's like completely different tones, you know, like those are not good episodes. But like, oh, there was one I watched because I did a TNG rewatch. This was Birthright. It was a two-parter. I think it was season 7, and it was about Worf. He finds like he thinks he's tracking down his dad, and he goes to this planet where it's like he finds all these Klingons that were basically captured the Romulans or whatever. But then in part 1, you have Data. There's a little bit of this Birthright idea because he discovers his dream program by accident. But it's like that's in part 1, but none of that in part 2. It's just like it was like, so part 1, they had A plot, B plot. A plot was Worf trying to find his father. B plot was Data discovering his dream program. And then part 2, the B plot just disappears. Like Data does not discuss his dream program. He barely appears. He does not discuss his dream program. I'm just like, it was just like such a boring, dragged out, and then it was also just like two completely separate plots. I know, it's like, what is this? This wasn't as bad. But yeah, I still enjoyed this episode. I thought Arjun was annoying as fuck. Like I really thought he was annoying. He was like whiny. He didn't know like what to do with his life. I mean, Jadzia's assessment was correct, as in he was just doing this.
He was giving her answers
what?
He was giving her answers that he thought she wanted to hear. Like he was over prepared for this.
Right.
Experience.
And he was doing it not because he really wanted to, it's because he was trying to satisfy his father's wishes or whatever. Like he didn't really have his own, like he didn't really have a vision for like who he wanted to be. So when he gets like feedback, he lashes out. I was like, oh my God, you're so annoying. So I thought he was just this whiny character. And of course, like Jadzia is like old and wise and like very good at keeping her cool. Even when he kind of like blows up at her, she's just like, all right. Like, she's cool as a cucumber. She's kind of
she doesn't engage.
She doesn't engage or react. She's just like, all right, let him kind of vent and go back to him later or something. So, I did think that this was a good episode that showcases. I do think this was a good episode that reveals some of the Jadzia backstory, where we see a little more of her, and we get a lot more of this in facets later on, but where we get a little bit of her interactions with Curzon, and then also how she went, like her experience during her initiative program. Yeah. So I thought that part was really good. And I did like it was a little ridiculous, but the whole pro universe thing, like, it was like very, very sciencey and like very geeky, and there were like so many words. I was like, I love the words. It was great. And then I also liked the scene in the wormhole where you have the Verteron nodes, which you've never seen before, because usually just going through it and there are all these waves, and then these like big spherical things appear. I'm like, what's this? Like, where do these come from? It was just kind of odd.
Yeah, well, yeah, I definitely was confused by that. I mean, I guess you're going by them so fast that they,
I guess,
they just kind of,
they don't look like that. But then when you slow down, it's like, oh, it looks very different.
Yeah. So
there were some interesting things in this episode. So yes, Jadzia's background, a little bit more about her, this universe, the mystery of the week kind of deal, this like proto universe. It has some cool, interesting ideas. Yeah, I thought it was interesting. He was
I mean,
interesting.
yeah, I mean, I enjoyed a great deal of this episode. I actually watched it twice today.
Oh my god,
Because
a lot.
yeah, it was. I wanted to make sure I didn't miss any of the conversations, being distracted while I was working or whatever. So yeah, I think seeing Arjun drink at Quark's is one of my favorite scenes, because Quark kind of tells him, like, tries to give him advice, and basically tells Arjun that he failed, he messed up, he broke the rules, and he's still paying for it today, but he's kind of nonchalant about it, which is an interesting kind of way to approach it. So there's that scene. There is a thing, he does, I've worked with people like Arjun, and it's this sense of entitlement, and I don't currently work with anyone like that.
I was gonna be like,
Yeah.
are you talking about anyone at your current job?
No. In previous jobs, but I think this sense of entitlement, this is, sense of things being owed to you, like,
Right.
it just,
Yeah.
it felt, it just felt weird, and I thought he was really annoying, and I understand the whole point of it, and I do like
So
how
annoying.
I do like how the backstory comes out. The other piece of the episode that we don't really see, and in this case, this is almost like the example you gave, is the voles were the part of the story, the B early in the story. So it was sort of that whole piece of Cardassian, which was interesting. Like O'Brien reaches out to the Cardassians for a solution. The Cardassians were like, screw you, you want to leave Bajor, then we'll come take care of the voles, so just which I thought was interesting, and I think that I don't know, I have to double check, but I almost want to say that David Warner was the Cardassian on the screen, but I'm not sure.
I don't know, no idea.
So so there's that whole piece of B plot that disappears because they still haven't gotten rid of the voles, and I don't know if you remember from your rewatch, because I haven't rewatched DS9 yet, but do the voles come back? Do we hear about the voles ever again?
I feel we hear about the voles again at some point.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't recall. I mean, it's not obviously a major narrative thread throughout DS9, but I think they do make a reappearance.
Okay. So, there's that piece of the story that I think is, again, almost that like B plot that was discontinued in favor of a, or even maybe that's the C plot and the B plot is the proto universe, or vice versa. I don't know. It's a very, I don't know. It's almost like they came up with an idea. They came up with the name of the episode. Be like, oh, we should write an episode named Playing God. Okay, so what can we do? We can, it just, for me, I mean, there were some good scenes in it, but honestly, like, I don't know that I appreciate this episode anymore.
Is it underappreciated?
I don't know that it's underappreciated. I think we're gonna have to rethink after 2 episodes in Deep Space Nine what,
It's not strongly disliked.
No, I think I'm actually, as I'm talking more about it, I'm actually disliking it more.
Wow.
Just because I think that the way that it was written, I think this is a case of where the writing was not so great for this episode, and so I don't think that it was. I no longer, after talking about this, would consider this to be underappreciated. I would actually say that this is sort of a poorly written episode. The only benefits of this episode are that we start to get a little bit more background on Dax.
Right.
That almost like just a thread. I would say this was a lot of work for an episode to just create this thread of the initiate and who Dax was before and all of that. I think that was this was a lot of episode and bad writing for just that little thread that we see carried on later on this season with facets and
That's fair.
so I think that this is, in a lot of ways, this was lazy writing, and also they just weren't following their formula right. They didn't really, so for me, this isn't appreciated, but there are some appreciating scenes in this episode. And I think that the title is, while dealing with the whole idea of snuffing out a proto universe, is seen as playing God. It's just, I don't know. It just all falls flat for me. At least that piece of the storyline. And Arjun is just too annoying and too reminiscent of younger employees that I worked with.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
I
thought that. Yeah, I agree with you. I don't know if I like disliked it. I just think that it wasn't the best episode, and I feel that it was like a lot. It tried to be so many different things between Dax's background, this really annoying fucker, this pro universe, and then we get the scene where Cisco is like wandering around trying to make this moral decision about what to like do with the universe. Remember that? I was like, oh, geez, like.
And then there's this little scene, which is actually really cute, on how he tricks Jake into telling him who this person is or about what's going on. And he never says anything, and Jake just spills the beans, which I think is a great. I'm going to file that away for a future parenting moment.
We do see the girlfriend in a later episode.
Yeah,
she does come over for dinner.
Yeah, which is
I feel there was like a lot that was kind of just mixed into the pot.
Yeah,
and it just didn't really. Yeah, I don't think it fully ever came into focus for me. I think that like I was saying earlier, I think that they tried to kind of make it so that these stories kind of run parallel, but then like it never quite arrives on the same page at the end. So it just feels like it was kind of just like all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, because at the end of the episode, you see, Dax and Arjun go off and do what do they do with the proto universe? Where does it go?
So so they put it in the gamma quadrant. They put it back in the gamma quadrant, and I was like, so is the gamma quadrant screwed now? But I looked it up on Memory Alpha, and I don't recall them specifically saying this in the episode, so I don't know if whoever wrote the Memory Alpha article just made this assumption. But when they were in the gamma quadrant, they collided with a subspace like interface manifold, whatever. So it was like a subspace pocket. So that's where they picked it up. So in the Memory Alpha article, which I do not think was explicitly said in the episode, they went back to the gamma quadrant to put this universe back into that pocket. I was like, okay, I don't remember them saying that. And I also that also seems kind of dubious to me, but okay.
Yep. Yeah.
They basically just, according to Memory Alpha anyway, they put it back where they found it, and everything was fine.
There we go.
So
again, more lazy writing. Definitely not one of the better episodes of DS9 for sure.
But we're not. The whole point of this series is not to talk about the best episodes. Though, as I mentioned to you, as I was trying to pick episodes, I was like, shoot, I really want to talk about this one, but we can't because it's too good. So
yeah, we are picking kind of off the beaten path,
potentially mediocre episodes.
Yeah. And this one is definitely mediocre, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So I really, I don't know that it's underappreciated, because I don't appreciate it any more than before. But it was great to watch it. It does have that theme of that thread of Dax's lives.
Correct.
So that they obviously do continue with Marta, the Dabo girl that becomes Jake's girlfriend. So there are some things, but there are some definite holes, like the voles disappear, the proto-universe is suddenly solved.
I mean, it's too easy.
Really lazy writing for this episode. So that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah.
I'm kind of done now that we've talked about this. I'm like over it.
All right. Well, whatever it is.
Anything else about playing God for you?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. We have decided on our next episode.
We
Do you
did.
want to share what it is?
Yeah. Next week in our well, I'm reticent to say now the underappreciated episodes of DS9.
I think this is good actually. So when you decided that this would be our episode, I started watching it almost immediately. And I'm actually really liking the episode. So I think
okay, all right.
I think it's much better.
All right, good. Well, hopefully just like Star Trek series, this now that we're in the third season, this will be a better choice for us. But next week we're going to talk about season 3, episode 17, Visionary. It's a Miles episode.
Also episode 17. That's funny.
Yeah. So, and season 3 is when things really start to pick up in Deep Space Nine. So we are avoiding a lot of great episodes.
Yeah.
So, after I finish my Enterprise rewatch, I will have to go back and
correct.
Start watching DS9 again.
Yes.
But by the time I do that, we'll have new Star Trek to watch and talk about, and
I know. Oh my gosh, Lower Decks is right around the corner.
It really is. It's coming up fast. So anyway, that's what we're going to talk about next week. Episode 17 of season 3, Visionary.
Yeah.
Great. So moving on, let's do a little bit of off topic. And we haven't talked about some other stuff that we've been watching or consuming lately. So yeah, Johnson, what off-topic things have you been watching, consuming, playing, doing?
Yeah. So I needed a book to read. Shocker. So I started to read. I don't think I mentioned this on the podcast. I talked to you about it, but I don't think. I don't know. But I started to read Artemis, which is Andy Weir's second book. So he wrote The Martian first, then he wrote Artemis, and then he wrote Project Hail Mary. And I really enjoyed Project Hail Mary. And I never read The Martian, but I saw the movie, which I really also enjoyed. So I was like, you know what? I want to read his second book. And it's not bad. It's not as good as Project Hail Mary, but I'm still enjoying it. It's not as like fantastical, I would say, but there's still kind of this like hard science bend to it, very much based in reality. And yeah, it's kind of like a heist movie. Like, there's a little bit of that.
Heist on the Moon movie.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it's good. It's good. I'm still playing Mass Effect. So I mentioned this quite a few weeks ago. So I'm playing Mass Effect 3, obviously the third game in the series. And as you may recall, I mentioned in the episode where I talked about Mass Effect, other than talking about how I feel Picard kind of ripped off Mass Effect a little bit, I talked about how this is a game where you can make choices and things like that. So one of the things that I've been doing trying really hard to do, which I accomplished, I'm very proud of myself, is establishing a gay relationship. So throughout the series, you can form relationships, and it depends on like who you talk to more, certain decision trees, things like that. And the thing is that I didn't know. So it's not until the third game that you can actually form a same-sex relationship. The first and second games you can't. However, if you formed a relationship with anybody else in the first 2 games, you can't form a relationship with a certain someone in the third game. But I didn't know that. I just coincidentally just never got anywhere with anybody. It's like me in real life. It's like, oh, it never went anywhere. No, kind of maybe we go on a date, but nothing happened. That was me in the first 2 games, but totally an accident. And then the third game, I was like, all right, this has got to happen. I need to make this happen. So I read up on how to do it. And it was like, if you form no relationships in the first and second games, you can do this path. I'm like, oh, okay, great. I did that by accident. So I was able to encourage us along. And and it happened, and it was like fireworks. It was great. And then it's really funny because because you have this conversation. Again, this is all about decision trees and conversations, and you have this conversation where you basically like decide like let's become a couple, and then almost every interaction afterwards is like cuter. Like the the character that you decide to become partners with, he'll just make comments to like, oh, like cute outfit or something like that, which you wouldn't say beforehand. So it's just really interesting. And I can't imagine how many thousands and thousands of pages these actors must have read, because there's so many different directions these things have could go. I'm just like, it's incredible. But yeah, so I'm still playing through Mass Effect, and we'll see where this relationship goes.
So just in summary, you have formed a digital gaming relationship.
Correct.
Which you have been unable to do in real life.
That is correct. But I'm playing this guy who is basically, he's like Michael Burnham of this story. He's like the Lord and Savior of the universe. Like he's literally the entire fate of the galaxy is resting on his shoulders. Like he's literally Michael Burnham. But for me, it's a gay white male. Like, I guess. So yes, that is his character. So I am not John Shepard / Michael Burnham. I don't have all these fans. He has a lot of fans. So all
right, I'm just teasing you, but I think that's interesting. And also maybe you can pick up some tidbits on flirting and
oh god,
other things from this.
I know how to flirt. Get out of here. Do I?
Do you?
Do I? I don't know. Well, speaking of, so I know this is off topic and not Deanna, but as you know, I went on a date yesterday.
Right.
And I tried to be flirty, but at the same time, I really wasn't feeling it. Like, it was one of those dates where I told you this. It was like one of those dates where you have like really, actually like decent conversation chemistry, and it's very like natural and it flows well. And there were no awkward pauses. It was actually like pretty good. Like, it kept on going. There were like questions and answers. It was Q&A time. But yeah, I don't know. We just never, I think we never like, it never got to a point where I was like, I want more of this, or I was feeling like the physical side of it. And I don't think he was either, because I told you he yawned twice. I was like, man, he must be tired or bored or something. I was also tired too, but I wasn't yawning. So I don't know. Whatever. It's fine. So that's my second date of 2021 though. Hey.
There you go. Hey. And there's still plenty more. You still have 6 months left.
I do. It's true.
We are halfway through the year.
And then finally, when it comes to off topic, in the last week, I rewatched the Devil Wears Prada, one of my favorite movies, because it is like the 15-year anniversary of the movie.
Okay.
I think it is like an amazing film. I don't know. It is, and the thing is, people still talk about it. There's still memes about it. It has become so appreciated over the years. It's become very iconic, very quotable. It's aged superbly well. I don't know. And I've also seen, because I watched like one YouTube video that kind of breaks down the movie a little bit. I was like, this is actually fascinating. Like, now I get all these suggestions that are like critiquing the movie, like breaking down certain scenes, and like how like there's a lot more going on in the scene than you think and stuff like that. I'm like, oh my god, is this actually like an amazing movie? Like, I don't know. So have you ever watched The Devil Wears Prada?
I've seen it once or twice, maybe.
You should watch it again. It's so good.
Okay.
It's so good. I think I've seen it probably 15 times.
Yes, yeah. I think you, if you recall, we discussed this not too long ago, because you made fun of me because.
Did I?
Oh, yeah.
Was it about the Devil Wears Prada or Miss Congeniality?
Oh, that was about Miss Congeniality. Why do I feel like we've talked about Devil Wears Prada?
Okay, what? Just because it stars a woman, they're the same movie?
Oh,
I don't know. They're not the same. Or Mean Girls. There was also Mean Girls.
Maybe that. Anyway,
They're like conflating all these movies, basically.
yes, all of these movies that are, yes, they're all good movies in their own right. Would I pull it up on my queue and watch one of them? Probably not. But that's me,
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, there we go. So I encourage all our listeners to rewatch The Devil Wears Prada
Because it's 15 years old.
Yes, it's a great movie.
There we go.
Anyway, what have you been reading, watching, doing other than Star Trek?
So I have suddenly, I think it was last Friday, I was watching the latest episode of The Bad Batch.
Oh, okay.
And so I've been enjoying The Bad Batch, and I watched the episode, and then I was like, I'm in the mood for more Star Wars. And so, and probably before this, like in between each, like I think they're up to episode 8 or 9. I think 9 is coming out on this Friday. I had watched Revenge of the Sith.
Okay.
Recently as well. So then for some reason, like then when you start watching or when you're watching these, they definitely reference back to other episodes or other things that have gone on in the universe. And so that's why I did go back and watch Revenge of the Sith. I sort of wanted to see that because I had just before then rewatched the last 4 episodes of the Clone Wars to see that whole Ahsoka battle and what happens to the clones at the end of the Clone War, because that leads into the Bad Batch, actually directly into the Bad Batch. So I'd watched that. So then I wanted to go back and watch Revenge of the Sith and see it from the other side, what happened. And so then I don't know. So after watching Bad Batch last Friday, I actually went back and I started watching Rebels.
Oh my God.
So I am like halfway through season 2. I've just been watching Rebels for the last week or so.
Wow.
And I'm just enjoying it. It's just a great kind of, it's a nice kind of addendum to Clone Wars. It falls into that time period right before A New Hope and Rogue One. And so I'm just kind of been sucked down the Star Wars Rebels path. And then and for some reason I really, again, some references or something I read or watched on YouTube or whatever, and then I was like, I'm gonna go back and I want to see how I feel about the Rise of Skywalker. So I actually watched I actually watched the Rise of Skywalker too. And because people, you read, I follow some Star Wars news. I listen to a Star Wars podcast that I really enjoy from these blokes in England. And
you call them blokes?
I just felt like using that word. So I watched The Rise of Skywalker, wanted to see how some of the things were portrayed, whether I felt any differently about it. I think I enjoyed it more this time around. I didn't feel like there were as many plot holes as people are saying, or I felt like things were okay, like they were, so yeah, I've just been doing this Star Wars rewatch. I did pick up this week or yesterday, I picked up The Rising Storm, which is book 2 of the High Republic new series that they started at the beginning of this year, book series, or they're doing a whole multimedia series with this, including children's books, young adult books, and also comics. So I picked that up, but before I was reading that, I had gone back, and one of my favorite series that I've been listening to on audio is the Chronicles of St. Mary's, which is all about this group that is a bunch of time travelers. So I actually have listened to two of those books, and I stopped after the second one, and I think I've read book 9 and 10 maybe, and then started the Rising Storm, and then when I went for a run this morning, I decided that the Rising Storm wasn't going to get me through the run, so I went on to book 11 of the Chronicles of St. Mary's, which I knew would keep my attention and keep me distracted while I ran. So so I'm listening to that, and that's pretty much,
That's a lot.
I haven't gone back to Enterprise yet. I got up to through the Zindi, the beginning of the first episode of the Zindi arc, season 3, and that's sort of where I've kind of gotten to right now. So yeah, and you know, I've been watching Loki as well.
I haven't started Loki yet.
You know, it's a slow-ish burn. I feel like the third episode, which was last Wednesday, sort of revealed some information, and then you know, the new episode dropped today, but I haven't watched it yet. I'm gonna watch it on Friday. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's good.
I've heard good things.
Yeah, I'm interested to see where it's going, because this, you know, I'm not spoiling anything. This takes place in 2012. It actually takes place in between some of the movie, or like the early Avenger movies.
Oh, okay.
So it's back in time, but it's also timeless because he's now working for this time agency. So
right. I know.
So now it's kind of like lost in time, which is also what I think gave me all this time stuff and the timekeepers and everything, made me go back and listen to the Chronicles of St. Mary's again. So that's sort of how like all of this is all wrapped up into what I've been doing. So yeah, that's pretty much all I think. You know, we did start watching Luca last night. We didn't finish it. Luca's
okay.
Disney movie on Disney Plus. So far that's been enjoyable, and it just got too late last night, so we stopped it at a certain point. So yeah, I think that's pretty much all. I'm sort of starting to amass the books that I'm going to bring with me on vacation in 2 weeks. So you'll be happy to know that one of the books I am bringing, is it raining?
Oh, it's like raining.
Oh wow, crazy! You'll be happy to know that one of the books I am bringing.
Oh yay!
Is the 3-Body Problem.
Wait, you're bringing the physical book?
I'm gonna bring the physical book.
Why?
Well, long story short, I bought this book to do this speed reading course with, and I needed I needed a book that was sort of full size, but I didn't want a hardcover, and so I went to Barnes.
I wouldn't suggest speed reading through the 3-Body Problem. It's like very like it gets a little bit dense.
Is it okay?
Yeah.
I never ended up. I didn't go back and finish. I haven't started that course yet, and so I picked.
It's a good book.
Yeah, so
I recommend it.
Read, and yeah, I think that's pretty much it for my off topic.
That's plenty.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot.
It's a lot of Star Wars.
It is a lot of Star Wars. I have been watching a lot of Star Wars. Yeah, and I'm excited for the next. Yeah, I'm really enjoying Bad Batch. I would highly recommend it. It's really good. It's a nice. You know, there are some. Their original episode took right off from the end of Clone Wars, which I thought was great. Some of the other episodes have been kind of slow, and just kind of. I mean, obviously it's geared towards a younger audience. But yeah, so definitely recommend that. But that's what's been going on with my off topic.
Oh, I forgot to mention, I'm also watching Elite season 4, the show that you did not like.
I didn't say I didn't. Well, I didn't fall in love with it.
You didn't really. You watched like 2 episodes.
I did. I watched 2 episodes.
You were into
less than the prerequisite you asked me to watch.
It was. And you didn't watch it in Spanish. You watched it in English. It was like, oh God, English dub.
Yeah, English dubbed was a lot.
Well,
yeah.
But I am not liking season 4.
Oh, shocking!
Because it's trying too hard. It's become a show that tries too hard. Like
What are they
these are
trying
these
to
are all like still like they're all still in high school, and everyone like now you have like one relationship that it's like it's trying too hard to be like salacious and edgy, but in a way that is not in a way that I personally feel is a disservice to the story, where you have like now you have like a polyamorous relationship, now you have like there are two gay relationships, and look, obviously I don't have anything wrong there. I don't think there's anything wrong with showcasing those kind of relationships, but it's just like it's almost like trying too hard to be like everyone's like naked all the time. And personally, I'm kind of just like, all right, to what end? Like, you know, where's this going? Like,
Where's the storyline?
I feel that storyline's kind of getting lost in how edgy they're trying to be. And
Lazy
I
writing.
have like, so there, you know, I totally appreciate when shows like this try to push the boundaries. I get it. I used to watch a lot of these CW superhero shows, like, you know, like The Flash. I don't know if you watched any of those.
I did.
They're
Yeah,
really good.
Yeah.
The
They
Flash
are
is
good.
excellent, actually, until it got tiresome, but whatever. But I
Yeah.
watched Supergirl. Like, Supergirl was one of the shows that was originally on CBS, and then they moved over to CW. I actually really liked Supergirl when it first started. And then it became like a message show where everyone was gay. Like everyone was like there was like a very strong message in every. It was like the most wokest of all those like Greg Berlanti shows, but to the point where I was just like, oh my god, I feel it got to a point where I felt it was being force fed down my throat and not in a pleasant way. And it's like it started to like lack subtlety. Like it was like whatever. These CW superhero shows are not subtle by any means, but it's like when there's like so much of it and the story actually becomes secondary to the messaging, I'm kind of, I don't know. For me, it just kind of loses its charm a little bit. I think that if it plays really well together, like and the character growth as well as the character narratives, what they're, you know, what's driving them and the messaging all kind of flows well together and there's a balance, I really appreciate, and that's great. But yeah, sometimes if a show kind of starts to kind of force feed you like some of this messaging sometimes, and then you're like, where's the story? You know, where's this all going? That's where it kind of goes off the rails for me a little bit. So anyway, so this latest season of Elite, I only watched 2 episodes. I'm like, do I need to watch more? I don't know. It's like it's kind of lost a little bit of its charm for me. Anyway, that's the other thing. I don't know what your opinion is about like shows like that, but for me, it's kind of like it's like it's like I get it, but I appreciate it to a certain extent. But
yeah, I mean, Supergirl brought in the, you know, Supergirl's adopted sister is a lesbian,
right?
So there's that piece, and they have a transgender character,
right?
Which is great. And that's sort of where I left it. Was sort of I don't know whether that was season 2 or 3.
It was like 3 or 4. Yeah. What was her name? The transgender girl. I don't remember.
Yeah. So. But I, you know, after, you know, again, those shows were really good. I think I did just get tired of them.
Yeah,
because I did watch The Flash. I did watch the finale.
Flash was really good, by the way. When it first started, I was like,
yeah, you know, it was still good up to I don't know 2 seasons ago, or maybe 2 or 3 seasons ago, and then I don't know, it just lost something.
Yeah,
I don't even know if I can tell you what I lost. Maybe it was just getting.
I think it's repetitive for a while.
Yeah, it's repetitive. The arc becomes the focus rather than, you know, so they kind of edge you all season long, and you know
it's also like 20 something episodes a season. It's not like Picard where I'm like, oh, this is like edging me for 10 episodes. It's like edging you for like 20 episodes. It's
whoa. Yeah, it's conventional TV kind of length.
No,
old
it's too long.
conventional. Yeah. So yeah, it's just too long. And then they have these mid-season in December or November sweeps, whatever. They have these hangovers, these cliffhangers.
Crossovers.
They have the crossovers, but they have the not the hangovers, the cliffhangers.
Oh my gosh. I was like, what are you trying to say right now?
Cliffhangers. So then you have to wait till mid to late January to see where it picks up, and then you're still being edged with who is this villain that's
oh my god,
masterminding this whole thing. It just became exhausting to watch. So I think that
this
was
like the seasons are too long. It's
yeah. So
and it's serialized, and it's like a lot of serialization.
It's heavily serialized to the point where it's annoying.
Yeah,
like there's too much that's serialized about it. So you don't actually get to know what's going on until basically the penultimate episode, and then they wrap it up the next episode, and inevitably every season finale leaves you with another cliffhanger.
Correct. It always teases the next season.
It's just kind of it's like you get to that point, you get the answers to one thing, and then suddenly you have another problem, and you're like, what the fuck, this circuit, can we have a moment of zen? Can we have a moment where life goes back to normal a little bit, or
right,
or where there's just a villain of the week that we catch, and it's not bigger, not part of the bigger plot. It just gets too much. And I think I watched Green Arrow or Arrow. And that was really good, and it was really good. They wrapped that up well and good, and I think did you watch Crisis on Infinite Earths though? Did you watch that? I think that was the end, the last. It was awful. That's a whole other podcast. I hated it. I can't remember it. I didn't think it was that great. I mean, it was fine. It wasn't good. It wasn't good. Yeah. So it's just too much. I think the serialized nature of it is just too much. They don't give enough payoff to the audience, unless you're really addicted to watching them every Tuesday night. It's just too much. There were just too many shows. Not only are all the seasons too long, you have 5 shows you need to catch up on. So it got too much. So anyway, so yeah, wow, that was a long rant. It was. I didn't expect that. But here we are. Well, I think I'll just give a quick shout out to our sponsor, Fansets. Oh, yes, Fansets. So tomorrow is July 1st, and I actually don't know what they're releasing on July 1st. I do know that the big thing right now is that they do have the Discovery Section 31 Delta full size. It's a regular pin, so it's not really a cosplay pin, but they are doing the magnetic pins as well, and so that should be coming out this summer, I believe. Maybe even at. Is this a magnetic pin that you can wear? Yeah, it's like 2 pieces. So you put it's basically 2 pieces. So the magnets hold so you could put fabric in between them. Okay. So they have the kind of display pins, kind of like my display box behind me. And then they have these ones that could be for more cosplay. I see. They do have they do have the magnetic one, I believe, for Strange New Worlds, the Captain Pike one. Yeah, they do. So, and they are doing a whole series of deltas, which I think is really cool. I think that obviously those are things that, you can cosplay with, but also you could just, if you really wanted to be geeky and wanted to wear it on a t-shirt, you could do that too. But anyway, are you planning to wear any pins to Vegas? I'm not. No, I don't think so. No. Although I was thinking about it's not a Fansets pin, but that pin that I got. I think I got you one with the next pride flag. Are you talking about the pride flag? Yeah. Didn't. But we'll see. No, I'm not really. I mean, hopefully we're gonna make some Deep Space Pride t-shirts to wear.
If we want to, we need to do that soon.
Yes, of course.
Coming up.
But anyway, getting back to fan sets, they're going to be
fan sets.
They're going to be back at Star Trek Las Vegas / the 55-year mission.
Correct. It doesn't roll off the tongue, but here we are. It
does not roll off the tongue, but yes. And I am told that our Fan Geeks party on Friday night is sold out, but there may be a few tickets available at the...
I will sell you my ticket for $200. My pin for $150.
Oh my gosh. You're going. Stop it. So anyway, so they're going to be out in Las Vegas. I'm sure they're going to have some specials out there. Oh, there is a new Savick pin that they just announced. It's the first in Series 3 of the Women of Trek.
Okay.
It's the Savick pin from the Savick from Star Trek 3 and Star Trek 4. Savick, yes.
I thought I said static. I was like, who is this? Savick.
I'm out of water, and so I maybe my voice is, I'm losing some of my voice. But anyway, so fan sets will be there. You'll get to meet the team behind them, Lou and all the guys. So but if you want to get some pins, and there are lots of great pins, I want to say there are over 150, 200 Star Trek pins alone on fan sets. If you put more than $30 in your cart, you will get free shipping in the US. And if you use the code DSPRIDE, you'll get 10% off your order.
Wonderful.
So we thank Fansets for supporting Deep Space Pride and the Trek Geeks Podcast Network.
Thanks, Fansets.
All right. That should do it for this week's episode of Deep Space Pride.
I'm like ready for a nap.
It is almost your nap time.
It is. I'm like tired. Yeah, I need my nap time for sure. Otherwise I get cranky.
Oh gosh. Well, we'll make sure you get nap time in Las Vegas then. But
oh my god, it's gonna be so hot.
It's gonna be as hot as it was today. It'll be fine. We'll be inside, air conditioning, you know. Although I'm sort of regretting that we did watch that Netflix movie with Las Vegas, the zombie movie from.
Okay, what's it called? Shoot,
I don't know. So that's in my mind right now, and every time you say it's going to be hot out, I think, gosh, we're like fighting in the desert for our lives against zombies. But anyway, we're not. We're gonna. I don't
know if that's going to be the situation that we're going to be facing.
I do not think it will be. We're going to have a great.
It's more going to be it's hot, and I'm going to be complaining, and then you're going to have to tolerate me complaining.
Yes. Maybe I'll get a spray bottle.
If anything, it's that.
Maybe I'll bring a spray bottle. Yes, and anytime you say you're hot, I'll just spray you with water. So
wait, as like punishment,
or if you're hot, I'll say, "Here's your cooling mist," and I'll spray you with water.
Like I'm like, am I a cat? Like get to spray me every time I misbehave?
Maybe. I mean, possibly. We'll see. Anyway,
here we are.
We are at the end of our episode. Thanks everybody for listening. Join us next week when we talk about The Visionary.
Which is a good episode.
Yeah, so you say.
But I think it's definitely underappreciated.
All right. Well, we'll talk about it next week on Deep Space Pride.
Correct.
Thanks, everybody, for listening. We'll see you all next week.
Bye, everyone.
Deep Space Pride is a production of Coconut Media Works. Executive producers Bill Smith and Dan Davidson. For more great Star Trek discussion, discover the other shows of the Trek Geeks Podcast Network at trekgeeks.com or find us in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app.
Coconut.